Hey, let's go through the Unit 2 Retake Study Guide. How was the electron discovered? Well, it was Thomson, and he used a piece of equipment called the cathode ray tube. And he realized there must be these negatively charged things because they were repelled by positive charges. How was the nucleus discovered? This was Rutherford, and he did the gold foil experiment. And he had a thin piece of gold foil. He used a particle accelerator. He expected, because the plum pudding model was the accepted model at the time, he expected the alpha particles to shoot straight through. Instead, they bounced back, showing that there must be something with mass to bounce off of. Neutrons were discovered and first added into what model? Well, they were added into the Rutherford model. And then eventually, we also use them, since you know, in the Bohr's model. All right, we are matching these with their family names. Got my periodic table out. Okay, so halogens, I'm going to look for something in this row. I should say in that column. That'd be iodine. Transition metals would be zinc. Alkali metals are in that first column. That'd be lithium. Alkaline earth metals is in the second column. Calcium. Chalcogens, also known as the oxygen family. And noble gases, the very last column. Oh, instead of krypton, I'm supposed to put A. What is true about the elements within the groups and families? They share common characteristics and properties. What particles make up the atom? Protons, neutrons, electrons. So the particles that make up the atom are protons, neutrons, and electrons. It doesn't matter what order you filled that out. The symbol we use here is P positive, N with the little circle for neutral, and E negative. If we say the mass, does it have mass or not? Protons for sure. Neutrons for sure. Electrons, yes, they have a teeny bit of mass, but it's so teeny, we kind of ignore it. The charge of a proton is positive. Neutrons do not have a charge, and electrons are negative. Based on the information, how do you get the mass of an atom? Protons plus neutrons give us the mass. You don't have to worry about the electrons. How do you determine the charge of the atom? Well, you do the positive and you add it to the negative charge, and that will be the overall charge. So if you've got 6 positive and 8 negative, and you have a hard time with that math, 6 positive plus negative 8, overall charge of negative 2. What is the mass of an atom with 17 protons, 19 neutrons, and 18 electrons? Well, you do 17 plus 19 protons and neutrons to get the mass, and that is 26. What is the charge with 17 protons and 18 electrons? So 17 positives, 18 negatives is going to be -1. Define valence electrons. Electrons in the outermost shell. How do you determine the number of electrons? One way is to do a Bohr's model and count number of electrons on outer shell. Or the quicker way is to know the pattern on the periodic table. So that pattern on the periodic table, that makes it a little easier. Here we go. Remember, on a test, we'll just hand you a periodic table and you can write on it. Okay, it's all of these have 1, 2, and then skip transition, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So how many valence electrons does phosphorus have? 5. All right, how many valence electrons does every element want to have? They want to have a full octet, full outer shell, so that'd be 8. How do we determine the number of protons in the element? Same as the atomic number. Explain why the atom to the right is neutral. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's got 7 electrons. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it doesn't matter if you don't know which colors protons or neutrons. There's 7 of each. So if you've got 7 negatives and 7 positives, that is neutral. What is the atomic number? Well, if you have 7 protons, the atomic number is 7. And what element is it? Atomic number 7, it is nitrogen. All right, fill in the table for the isotopes shown below. Use your clues, like if you don't know how to name it, look, you must have a dash with a mass. If you don't know how to do the symbol, look, they have the bigger number on top, the smaller number on the bottom. Let's start at the top. Atomic number is 33, so it tells us how many protons, 33. And then these are isotopes. They don't have a charge. Since they don't have a charge, our positives are going to equal our negatives. Now to get the mass, you have to do protons plus neutrons. So I'm going to do 33 plus 75, and that is 108. Now my symbol, mass goes on top, atomic number on the bottom. I look up this 33 on my periodic table and it says AS. So now I know that that is arsenic, isotope 108. Next, all right, the mass is 31. I know my top number. Again, because these do not have a charge, they're just isotopes. If there's 15 negatives, there must be 15 positives. And if there's 15 protons, the atomic number must be 15. To get neutrons now, I think what plus 15 gives me 31. And that would be 16. Now I look up element 15 on the periodic table, and I get P. So that is phosphorus. Isotope 31. The mass is 31. All right, next up, atomic number 38. Protons 38. Neutrons 88. Oh, no. That's the mass. If there's 38 positives, there's 38 negatives. And now I gotta think, what plus 38 equals 88? That is 50 neutrons. Sr is strontium, and this is isotope 88. Now we have lead 207, so Pb 207, the mass is 207. I have to find Pb on my periodic table. Here it is. There, 82. Atomic number 82. So 82 protons, 82 electrons. And I think, what plus 82 equals 207? I think it's 125. Ooh, people at home, check my math. Okay, next up, ions. These have charges. And anytime we have a charge, we have to note it on the atomic symbol. So the name of this is, I would accept if you put the isotope name, bromine 80, or I would accept if you did the official ion name, this would be bromide. The atomic number is 35. The mass number is 80. The atomic number is always the number of protons. So for neutrons, what plus 35 is 80? And 45. Now it says the charge. Over here it's -1. Now again, protons are positive, electrons are negative. How am I going to get a -1 charge? Do I need more positives or more negatives? I need more negatives. I need an extra negative. So instead of 35, I'm going to put 36. All right, next up, we have a mass of 40, a charge of +2, and 18 electrons. So I have 18 negatives. How am I going to get a +2 charge? Do I need more positives or more negatives to get a positive charge? I need more positives. I need 2 more positives. So it's 20. If protons are 20, atomic number is 20. And the number of neutrons, I think what plus 20 equals 40? That's easy. That's 20. I look up element 20 on my periodic table. It says Ca, and I know that is calcium. I would accept 2 answers for the name. Calcium-40 or calcium ion. All right, here we have aluminum ion, and it has 14 neutrons, so I'm going to look up aluminum on the periodic table. It's atomic number 13, so 13 protons. If I have 13 protons and 14 neutrons, 13 plus 14 is 27, so my mass is 27. 27, 13, Al. And now we have to figure out the charge. Now, the best way to do this is to know the pattern on the periodic table. If aluminum has 3 on the outermost shell, we think to ourselves it wants to have 8. Would it be easier for aluminum to get rid of the 3 and go down to a full shell, or to try to get 5? Is it easier to do 3 things or 5 things? It's easier to get rid of 3. And if you get rid of 3 negative things, you're going to become 3 positive. Now that we know that, and we're 3 positive, we must have more protons than electrons. We can only have 10 electrons to become 3 positive. Here's another trick that can save you time. If you can memorize what charges these different families will form, it will help you do this quickly. All of these want to get rid of 1, so they become a +1. All of these want to get rid of 2, so they become a +2. These want to get rid of 3, so +3. We'll skip the 4. These want to gain 3 to get up to 8. If you gain 3 negatives, you're -3. These want to gain 2, so that's -2. And this wants to gain 1, -1. And we know noble gases will not form an ion. If you know this pattern, it will save you time. All right, let's go here. Atomic number is 34. Protons is 34. The mass is 34 protons, 41 neutrons, 75. So I've got 75 over 34. Element number 34 is Se, and that is selenium. And then I'm going to use our Well, this should not say selenium ion. That would be selenide, because it's a negative charge. How do I know that? I looked over here. I was like, wait a minute, it's in the -2. That's an anion. So when we have anions, we ide. So oxide, sulfide, selenide, fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide. Now we know it's in the -2 column, so I'm going to use that trick. I have more negatives than I have positives, so instead of 34, I'm going to put 36. What do you call any atom that has a positive charge? Cation. And a negative charge, anion. What are the steps for drawing a Bohr model? Number 1, figure out number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Write number of protons and neutrons in center. That's the nucleus. And 3, place electrons on shells. The first shell can hold 2 max, and every other shell can hold 8 max. Draw the Bohr's model for the following elements. All right, I will give us the masses here. So this would be potassium 39. This is neon 20, sulfur 32, and beryllium 9. Okay, so for potassium 39, we have, let me see, 19 protons, 19 electrons, neutrons. I do 39 minus 19 is 20. So I've got 19 protons, 20 neutrons, and I've got to put on 19 electrons. There's 2 of the electrons. There's 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. Here's 8 more. 2 plus 8 plus 8 is 18. I need 1 more to get to 19. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4 shells. Should it take 4 shells? Is it in the 4th row? 1, 2, 3, 4. It is. All right, neon 20. So for protons, it's atomic number 10. Electrons, it's neutral, so it's 10. Neutrons, 20 minus 10 is 10. 10 protons, 10 neutrons. I need 10 electrons. 2 on the inner shell. I can put 8 here. 2 plus 8 is 10. I'm done. Sulfur 32. Sulfur is element 16. It is neutral, so 16 electrons. Neutrons, 32 minus 16, also 16. 16 protons, 16 neutrons. I need 16 electrons. 2 plus 8 is 10. I need to get up to 16. 2 plus 8 plus 6 is 16. Beryllium 9. Protons. Beryllium is element number 4. Electrons. Neutrons. 9 minus 4 is 5. 4 protons. 5 neutrons. 4 electrons. 2 on here. 2 plus 2 is 4. Draw the Lewis dot diagram. Oh, I'm going to use the trick where I labeled my valence electrons so I can go really fast. First one's aluminum. Aluminum, 3 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3. Sulfur, 6 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sodium, 1 valence electron. Chlorine, 7 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Argon, 8 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Magnesium, 2 valence electrons. 1, 2. Silicon, 4 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Phosphorus, 5 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've made it. Happy studying.